It's,
He's going the wrong way.
yeah, he's.
He's going down.
Nine. I have nine. Where'd he go?
I see them on sale.
We need one more, will you?
Here's Julia.
Jack,
They've got
where'd Victoria go?
memory foam. That's the president of Going State. And that little bit of padding I thought might make a difference. And see, they really don't.
He quit shaking hands. Is he running for office or what?
You would think, you know,
Kissing babies. Call this meeting to order at 10:21. Joe, could you do
Sure.
invocation?
let us pray. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunity to come and serve the people, and we just thank you for the blessings you bestowed upon our leadership, and just thank you for the freedom that we have. Thank you for our veterans, and bless us to meet as we make decisions for our people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yes, sir. Dick Light,
Here.
Harley Buzzard, Matt Baker, Joe Bird,
On in.
Julian Coates,
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Here.
Janelle Fulbright,
Present.
John Garvin, Frankie Hargis,
Present.
Kinda Glory Jordan, Lee Keener,
On in.
Curtis Snell, Janice Taylor,
Here.
David Thornton, Victoria Vesquez,
Honey.
David Walker,
On in.
Eric Allen Watts. We do have a quorum.
I got it.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask for approval of minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. March the Lamb.
Good morning, Council.
Marcia.
I have a few things to go over and then I'll take questions. I just wanted to let y'all know that on Cherokee First, on the adult and youth applications, we will start going out into the communities and going to where the people are and trying to make sure everybody is aware of these two programs. In family assistance, we are in the middle of our elders in need that where they get the $200. So far, we've done about 1,200, and but that will increase. As a reminder, the age limit is they have to be 50 years old, and they have to meet an income eligibility of LIHEAP, and you know, because every year we have new applicants, so be sure and refer anybody out there to us, because we'll take them. We have been working diligently with the AG's office to develop APS codes. That's Adult Protective Services. And as soon as we get that, then what we do now is we can only go out and take the referrals and visit the people, but we don't have any backbone to interact or anything. And then with these codes, we hope we have a little more backbone with them, and that'll be the first step in that. We are working on a date for the first anniversary of the Veterans Center. And that will be in March, and as soon as we get everything finalized, I'll send that out through Shelley or Gail and get that date out to you. And it's been a year since the center has opened, and it's growing all the time. You guys don't get to hear the good stuff a lot when you do something like provide money for this veterans trip that we did last year. We have 3 of the veterans that, since this trip happened, they have developed new friendships, and they're getting together for breakfast. And if you've ever read any data or anything on how the elderly need to get out in the communities and they need to interact and everything, this is an outcome of that, because they never would have met each other. They never would have started this without you guys providing this funds, and that's just money. That's just money that just the outcome of it, and that's what you want. You want these elders, especially when they're past 80 years old, to go out and be active, and they still come over to the center and they still interact just because of those. That's all I have to report. Do you have anything?
Victoria.
Thank you. Marcia, I just have a comment regarding the veterans, and I want to put a good word in for our employee that is running our Buffington Heights housing in Bonita. Bobby Hoshaw has done tremendous things in the few months she's been there to reach out to the local residents that are elders and the vets. And she personally brings the veterans here to get their warrior medals and helps them write up the story so that they can apply for that. And really brightened up that place. I know that there's more than 4 veterans that live there, and they're just thrilled. You can just see it in their faces how happy they are to be recognized and to be attention paid to them. And I think this probably has helped that effort a lot. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Marcia. Ron Qualls.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
We want to thank the rehab department wants to thank Representative Lay and Secretary of State for meeting with us yesterday, and I think it was a good meeting. We've made some decisions on how we might be able to serve our clients a little better, and I'm going to ask Mr. Pruitt to come up and go over some of the changes that we're going to be making. I think it's going to be a big improvement. We have this tendency to sometimes have to trace down an application, and hopefully some of this changes will aid us in being able to find those applications much quicker. So
we do a monthly report, and we keep it updated on a daily basis of completed applications. We added a line to our Excel spreadsheet to include initial applications. When a participant turns in an application, whether it's complete or not, it will be added to the report. And as it progresses and they turn in all their information, it'll be completed and we'll move it up into the completed category. So it's a way to help us track the initial applications. Whether they qualify or not, it's once they submit the application. It was a good idea.
and historically, you see what's happened is these applications, until they are completed, are in Salisaw, or they're in Jay, or they're in different areas of the nation, and we haven't had access to those until the application is finished. So this way, we'll know about the application, even though there might be a lacking document. We'll still know about the application. It'll be much easier for us to track. Okay.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Could you send me a copy of the application process? The
Yes,
different,
ma'am.
the forms? I'd like to see how long and how extensive they are. Okay.
Do it.
Send all of them.
Yeah.
Everybody. So I can send it to,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Whether it be water or emergency rehab or
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just like to say one more thing. We have several requests for budget adjustments coming up at 3 o'clock. Appreciate any help you can give us.
I've got a comment. I think I should clarify this because last time I had a lot of complaints concerning a home and I gave a lengthy report about it. And since that time, many remedies have been made, and the last thing I heard was that we came in there with a dozer on the side of that mountain behind their house and peeled it down and made them an actual big backyard and corrected many things where the water was standing, put in gutters and made it handicap accessible, and did a few cosmetic things inside the house. And I think they are very happy now. So I want to compliment you both.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Whoops, I'm sorry, Harley.
It's too late. I think this may be for Gary Cooper. Do you guys don't, do you do anything with the new construction homes?
Not housing authority new construction.
So you're involved. Okay, that's for Gary then. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ron. Gary's not here, I think, this week. He's in DC, I believe. Did anybody come to speak for Gary? I don't see anybody raising their hand anyplace. Guess not, okay. Michael Lynn. We'll take it all out on you.
I was sitting back there trying to figure out which one of these chairs was the hot seat, so I hope I picked the right one. Good afternoon, or good morning, I should say. I'll go over some of the projects that we've got on under construction now, and then some things we've got coming up, and then be glad to answer any questions or comments. Current projects, we've got one bridge in Mays County, Wycliffe Bridge. The deck is completed on that bridge. They are forming up the rails on the bridge, as well as performing earthwork, building the roadway portion or the approaches to that project. And we've got four bridge projects on the J. Kenwood Road. One bridge is completed. They're working on the approaches to that. The deck on another bridge got poured yesterday, which will be followed by the rails and the approaches. On one of them, a water line just got completed here recently, and they'll be starting work on that bridge, as well as the last bridge. They have got a detour that they've constructed. We're waiting on that detour to be paved. The contractor to move in and pave that detour, and then they'll be able to start work on that fourth bridge. So things are progressing. We've had a pretty light winter up until here past month or so, but they have had a few setbacks here recently with the snow and rain that we've had. We've got two projects that have been bid out that will be started in March. The CNI Industrial Access Project in Adair County. We anticipate that starting towards the end of March, as well as the Ross Road in Muskogee County. It's an overlay project, and we expect that to start sometime early to mid-March. So we've got those coming up. The 10-Killer School Road in Cherokee County is all the utilities have been completed with the exception of the telephone, which is AT&T. We've been in conversation with AT&T. They expect to start in April and be completed by May, so we hope to have that project bid out and under construction by the summertime, which would be more convenient for the school. We have also Leach Kenwood project in Delaware County. It's going to be a rehabilitation with some drainage structures that we're going to be adding. That project is in the final review of the plans right now. Engineers are looking at those plans to sign off on those, and we expect to have that advertised for bid within the next 30 to 60 days. So again, late winter, early spring, maybe have some construction started there. And then lastly, we did hold a public meeting last week on the 19th on a project in Cherokee County, Mud Valley Road project. I had a really good turnout of folks attend the meeting. We had comment forms that we left with them that they took. We haven't received any public comment forms back. There was some opinions both ways at the meeting, for and against. So we're going to kind of take a look at the public comments as they come back and make some decisions from there based on those comments that we received. I think the comments are due back March 15th, so they've still got a little time ahead of them. But we did tell them that we needed to have those back by March 15th. So that is all I have to report this month. I'll be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Frankie's already raised her.
She already has, okay.
On the Malloy Hollow Road, we've been sitting at 60% progress on that for, what, 2-3 years now?
I don't know if it's been that long, but it's been quite a while. And things are moving slowly on that project. I think they're still trying to figure out exactly what to do around the curve going up the hill there. But there's
But they are
things
working
been.
on it?
I'm sorry.
We are still working
Yeah.
on
Oh
it?
yes. We're still working on it. You bet.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Don Garvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the road in Muskogee County, what is it, what's the, just kind of tell us about the depth, the overlay and so forth.
I believe it's going to be I believe it's a 2 or 3 inch overlay. I don't have the plans. I mean, I don't have them memorized, but it's a 2 to 3 inch overlay. There'll be some patching that's being done there on the surface. That's really the extent of it. It's going to start there at the junction of 40 and go all the way into the city of Porham.
Is this a federal job?
Yes, sir. It'll be a federal job. Federal Highway Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Harley Bud.
Michael, I may have missed the completion dates on those bridges on Kenwood Road. When is that going?
I don't recall. I'd have to go back and look. I know I believe it was a 600-day project on all 4 bridges combined. So it was a lengthy project. The contractor has assured us he didn't believe it would take that long, near that long. I don't know when that 600 days was up, but when the project was designed, it was looked at as far as construction time as to if they constructed each bridge individually. Obviously, they're not doing that. They're constructing them simultaneously. So it should be cut back dramatically.
And I guess soon as those bridges are complete, is that when you're going to bid the road overlay out?
Yes, that's correct.
Will you be replacing the guardrails on that road?
If it's not in specification, yes, we'll have to. If we raise the road elevation, the guardrail's not to height spec, we'll have to.
Because I noticed on some of those.
Or if it's damaged.
Yeah, they're damaged pretty bad.
Yeah, if they're damaged, they will be replaced, yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Joe Burke.
Michael, who's doing the project there by Paving Place, Highway 10? Bridge going across the river?
Oh, I honestly don't know. We're not associated with that, so I'm not sure who the contractor is on that. I've driven by there, but that's about the extent of it.
Okay.
So, sorry I can't help.
All right.
I can find out if you need me to.
We were part of it, then you would know. That's all. I
Yeah,
wanted.
I can find out if you'd like me to.
Okay.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out.
Michael, couple of things. Harley mentioned, I think last time we were here, about there's some monies for roads that are not county eligible. Could either you or Harley go over that again? You kind of went back and forth a time or two. Could you tell me about that again?
I believe you're referring to what's called the Special Bridge and Vehicle Access Program.
Okay.
It's a general fund funded program, and it had been 15,000 multiplied by 15 in the years past, which I think was $225,000 in years past. I think a couple of years ago, Harley, it was 2 or 3 years ago, it was cut to 7,500 multiplied by 15, and I think the discussion during last month's committee meeting was to try to bring that back up to the 15,000 level, 225 total level.
I guess I'll call you about specifically what that is.
Okay, very good.
After the meeting. The other thing, all of these new clinics, I guess you would call a lot of them new clinics, road signs for those would be kind of nice off of the highways. And I know you've had some experience doing that at Claremore. We'd like you to check into it again.
Okay. Yeah, we would need to work with ODOT. If it's on a state highway, we'd need to work with ODOT to get those put in place. But I do recall from the conversations we've had previously that if it's not a 24-hour facility, similar to a hospital, they have had a little bit of heartburn about putting signs up there. They don't want to put. Their concern is they don't want to put a sign up on a highway, for instance, one of those blue H's that indicates a hospital. They don't want to put a sign up on a highway that indicates a hospital when somebody traveled there in an emergency and it'd be closed after hours. You know, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I know they've had some problems with it.
About in the city limits or on a county paved road?
If it's on a county paved road, I would say it's somewhat fair game. We still need to go through the county, but we won't have to comply with the state's regulations and policies on that. If it's on a state highway, we still may be able to put some signage up that says, you know, Cherokee Nation Health Clinic, you know, 10 miles ahead or whatever. I'll look into it and see.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, Chair, just to follow up on the bridge funding. Michael, I'm sure there were some policies written back when that was passed. Would you mind pulling those out and see if you can find them and see what it actually says? And I believe since the compact has changed with the state, we're at liberty to use motor vehicle tax and tag tax on any type of road, whether the major or minor collector, is that right?
That's correct.
And also on a local road.
Any public road, yes, sir.
Any public road. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to note, because I know there's been questions about the bridge fund. The bridge fund was cut in 2010.
Thank you. Time?
That was my question. I was thinking that the bridge money was cut during a previous term. And I guess it was 2010?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Y'all might want to look and see how you voted on that before you start getting on Michael and some others. I think you might want to check your voting record on that. Thank you.
I'm innocent.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Dick.
Any other questions? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Anna Knight.
Morning.
Good morning.
You have a copy of our report in front of you. I did just want to note that VITA's going very strong, the volunteer tax preparation. In the first 3 weeks, we've assisted 543 people prepare their taxes, so it's going well. I've also, I think you guys have the latest version of the tax preparation sites and the hours and the days. Also, we are working on a tool right now to better track the impact, the actual household impact and financial impact of the self-sufficiency counseling. So hopefully by this summer we'll start being able to provide you with reports in regards to how the counseling actually is impacting families and impacting their credit scores and their debt to income ratios, etc. Something beyond just the ability to purchase a home, but how the progress that they're making along the way. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Morning, Anna. On your map, household statistics, which is very good. Is there a statistic for the average mortgage payment that a map?
We can do that. We can get that. Usually, the average loan on MAP is $70,000 to $80,000 is the mortgage that they're taking out. So, and we can get you a figure on the monthly average payment.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you,
Earl.
Anna, this may not be in your realm of housing, but we have an addition, it's called Star Addition in J, and there's some really good homes up there, and I'm not sure if those are 184 loans or what they are. But what I'm getting at is there's two homes up there that's been empty for quite some time, and they're just sitting there and they're starting to deteriorate because one of them has a shingle blown off the roof. And another one, and I don't know this, that someone that lived there previously went in and knocked some big holes in the walls and busted the electrical recepts. But who would know Who has a mortgage on those homes? I'm not sure if they're Title VI or 184 loans.
We can check with the housing authority if they're Title VI, and make that determination. If they're 184 loans, I'm not sure we would be able to know that. Let me do some checking into it and see what we can come up with.
And then if they were 184 loans, could we pick those houses up through housing authority or some way and go in and renovate them and resell them?
Technically, yes, we could if they're even if they weren't 184 loans, if they're in foreclosure or been through the foreclosure process and owned by the lender, then you could always go in and pick them up with the funding.
Because it's a shame. These are really nice constructed homes. They look really good. And if you don't do something, and if the bank gets them, they'll let them sit there for years and not do a thing, don't mow the yards, don't do anything with them. That's the same way with an addition there in Catoosa. The houses are vacant, and it's hard to know if they're a Title VI home or a 184 loan or what they are, but I wish we could have somebody to go around and identify them and actually know what they are, so maybe we could do something about either getting them back in the system to buy them and renovate them and sell them again or something. But if you would check on those two in Jay, the addition just north of town.
Okay.
There's also a couple of homes in the addition there at Catoosa. I'm not sure what that addition's called.
Okay.
Two up there also.
Okay.
Thank
I
you, Mr.
certainly
Chair.
can.
Dinah.
Anna, whatever you find out, will you be sure to report that to, if you'd send it to me or Gail, we can get it out to the
Okay,
others.
I sure will.
Because on a Title VI or a 184 loan, Housing Authority or Cherokee Nation does not, it's not in their name, it's in the individual's names. And unfortunately, fortunately for the people, it was real ownership. Unfortunately for the nation, we have no way of controlling their upkeep. They really own the home subject to a mortgage, and the upkeep is left to them. And some of those Title VI homes are approaching probably 10, 11, 12 years old. I'm sure that they may be to a point of needing a new roof or needing a new coat of paint or needing some renovation done to them, but we have no control over forcing the people to do that necessary upkeep.
Right.
It's kind of like all of us probably own our homes, and you think you need a coat of paint, but you don't have the money that year, so you got to wait a year, and it gets to looking a little grimy. But it's when you have the money to make those needed repairs.
That's
right. I know I let my home's 25 years old now, and I let it go just a little bit too long on putting on a new roof. But I was trying to think, when's the best time for me to put that $12,000 investment in my house? Same way with paint. I let it go a little bit long. Got to looking a little rough there until last summer when we got up there and got the thing painted. But those are choices that you make as a homeowner. And the Title VI and 184 program is very much a real ownership program.
That's correct.
Now, if some of them are in foreclosure, we possibly could pick them up, but some of those houses are $160,000 houses, and we normally don't pick up that type of house. They're anywhere for, a lot of them are from $110,000 to $150,000, $160,000 because of the way the program was set up. We're not going to be able to pick some of those houses up, even though we do retain back a small amount of money, either through your program or through housing, I believe, to pick up foreclosed properties that we find that would work into your inventory or into Gary's inventory.
That must be in the housing authority. And
I
on
know
the title, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
On the Title VI loans, when those go into foreclosure, then the housing authority is the lender, and so they pick those, they foreclose on those, and then they maintain
Unless
ownership.
somebody buys them at the sale or unless they get a new loan from somebody else, which right now they probably could get a 4% loan. They won't be as near as friendly on if they fail to make a payment or two, but they could get a loan with a traditional bank if they can get their credit straightened up enough.
Right.
I just know a lot of times your group or housing gets blamed when the house gets to looking a little rough, and sometimes it's beyond our control. It's in the hands of the person that actually lives there, and it's not a decision that can be made by us.
Right.
And I wanted to point that out. And then I also wanted to ask you about your mortgage assistance program and how that is going, how we're doing, what, about 150 a year or thereabouts?
150 is what we have budgeted. We anticipate about 175 this year.
So you may have to come back and ask for a budget mod.
This year, I believe we have adequate funding, and I know I owe you a report, and I was just talking about that this morning. We believe we have adequate funding because of the additional $5,000 that we have set aside for each of the applicants through the IDA program. So we'll tap into that additional $5,000 this year in order to fund everybody. And we've been in discussions with finance to talk about how to create our budget for next year and potentially carrying over that additional $5,000, having to do a carryover request so that we maintain that for the homeowners when they're ready for it, and being able to use it with some flexibility to increase the MAP applicants MAP applications as they increase.
So where we're at is we increased during this last 4 years, we increased mortgage assistance from $15,000 to $25,000.
Correct.
Allowing them to use $20,000 at the initial closing or down payment, holding back $5,000 for perceived improvements to the home, or if they did not use it for the home, then at some stated period it would go back in on their loan. Is that kind of how we set that up?
Yes, yes.
Which was a great improvement for the people that were assisting on mortgage assistance. But again, that $5,000, we cannot force them to do home improvements versus waiting till the time at the end and placing it on their actual loan.
That's correct.
I mean, these are choices that are going to be made by the people that live in those homes.
That is correct. I would like to note at this point too that the individual development account program, it's the iSave program, and they have to meet HUD requirements for it. But it is the majority of that money now is being used for housing rehab. And so we have a couple of hundred people in that program, and they save for a period of time. They go through financial education, and and once they complete the program and save the appropriate amount of money, then we match their savings accounts for them to do housing rehab with. So we've done everything from putting a fence and closing a garage, replacing a roof, new windows. We do anything that would increase the value of that home. And so that program has turned into almost 100% housing rehab. And in the beginning, it was education, new home ownership, and rehab, but it's
And that was a 1-to-3 ratio?
We've changed it to where it's a 1-to-5 ratio now.
Okay. So if they will participate in that program, for every dollar they put in, we're putting in basically $5 to
Correct.
match it.
And
that's another excellent program. And I know that before, that program wasn't quite being used for what we're using it for now, which is home improvement.
That's
home
correct.
improvement situation, or to assist with a down payment.
That's
And
correct.
it wasn't the 1-to-5 ratio, it was 1-to-3.
It was 1-to-3 for new
Okay.
home ownership.
So that's
and,
been a great improvement and help to your folks.
Mhm.
Well, I commend you on what you're doing on your program. I love the fact that this body identified the need of raising it from 15,000 to 25,000. And I love the fact that, Anna, you've been able to tap into that small savings program to assist those individuals with any needed repairs that may happen on that house.
Sure.
And Harley, I commend you for pointing out those homes. I mean, if there's a way for us to get them, we want to try to get them, but I'm afraid what we're going to find is that they're in private ownership, and a lot of them just, they're like all the rest of us, are trying to time their repairs.
And just to carry on what the chair lady had said, is it looks to me like what we're doing is we're having this tract of land out, we built 10 homes there, and we let a 184 loan get into that section, then we have no control over it. And what's happening to the people that keep their houses up on property that we bought, they're the one that's complaining now because they got a house that's sitting next door to them, the weeds are that tall, the windows are knocked out, and we can't do anything about it. So maybe what we need to do is go back and look at the covenants of that housing addition and put something in there. I know what we say now is, well, we have no control over it. It's up to the city to write a fine for those people that don't cut their yards or keep their houses up. But maybe we need to go back and look at the covenants for these housing authority additions that we let 184 Title VI loans go in and build, where we still control part of that stuff instead of just, it's just public land, you know, once they do a 184 or a Title VI. So what it's doing is pulling value down of our other Indian people that live in that particular subdivision. And so I think we probably need to take a look at that and see if we can't have more control over it other than just saying, well, it's a 184 loan or a Title VI loan, so there's nothing we can do. But if we could put some more restrictions on that, saying, well, we're going to go in and cut the grass if you don't do it, and then we're going to put a lien against the house, or something like that. Because I've got some complaints about people that live in those districts up there, then, you know, like the chair lady said, we really don't have any control over it. Once they go out as a 184 loan or a Title VI loan, they can pull cars and put a junkyard and anything else they want. So maybe we need to look at the covenants on it and have a little bit more control over, you know, what they're doing up there. So I've got complaints from people that live in those housing areas, and the reason I brought this up. So, and I know she's exactly right. Once we let it go as a 184 loan, we really don't have any control over it, or even Title VI. So, and I'm sure there's covenants on about any of our properties that we built on, but we probably need to take a look at them a little bit closer to make sure we're covered them, something like that. So next time we review it, we want to make sure we take a look at that and see. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My suggestion would be, Anna, that we have you pull the Star Edition covenants restrictions and see if it's not traditionally written like most covenants, which are the majority of the people within that edition can modify those restrictions, limitations, covenants, whatever, subdivision rules, whatever you want to call them. Generally, after a certain number of years, then a majority of your people it's set up so they can govern themselves. And that may be we may need to have the AG review those and see if we still have some ownership. Each one of those lots are to count towards our percentage. Let's say if there's 20 lots there and we still own 10 of them, then we only need 1 or 2 more people to put us over the 50%, give us a majority so that we could redo those if we needed to. But you know, trying to govern personal habits is like it's like trying to hit a moving target, because what I think about the upkeep of my home may not be the same as what my neighbor thinks about on how they govern or how they take care of their home. Maybe we can force them through the restrictions, but that is almost a personal choice. Now, if they don't mow their yard, Harley, boy, the city will get you on that. Bigger than, I mean, that's the first thing they look at is the grass 24 inches tall, because if it is, they're going to stick something on your door, and they'll come mow it, but it's going to go against it's going to become basically like a claim against you when you go to try to sell that house or mortgage it. You got to pay all that up first.
Yeah, and I'm just to respond to you, Chair Lady, is like in Catoosa, I'd like to see the Catoosa covenants also, but a lot of times it's just the people live next door, and those one in Catoosa, they're probably 30 to 40 foot apart. And if they don't mow it and the city don't mow it, then you know it sits there grown up, and then you get mice and rats and everything else in there. It gets to be a problem for people on both sides of those houses. So if you would have pulled those covenants up there too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Janelle?
Thank you. I've kind of got a comment here. I'm really proud that we finally raised it from 15,000 to 25,000. And when I first got on council, I was trying to help a gentleman, and the site didn't perk out. It was on the side of a mountain, and he just verbally abused me and the chief at the time. He's gonna call the TV stations and everybody, tell how terrible we were. And finally, I found out he was a Choctaw, and Speaker Fraley said, tell him to go down south to the river and they'll give him $25,000, because we only had the $15,000. And I told her, I'm about ready to tell him to go jump in the river, you know. But we changed it to $25,000, and we're offering credit. And I told him, I said, why don't you go south the river, you can get the $25,000. He said, no, Cherokee Nation has already built up my credit. I've been to credit counseling school, and they've jumped me through all the bars. I'm ready to go. But boy, he finally had to pick another site. But sometimes people we're working with and trying to help the most don't follow our advice. But we're offering them budgeting classes and the iSave program, and there's every opportunity for them to be successful. And when I first got married, if anybody had given me anything, I would have been so tickled. We was trying hard to find $50 a month to pay the rent. And to think a lump sum up front, $25,000 on a new home, that's every opportunity, I mean, laid right out for you. So I think we're doing our part on helping these people get in these homes, because down where I'm from, that is a very popular program in Sequoia County. Many people have taken advantage of it.
They do, and it makes a big difference in their ability to purchase a home and what type of home they
and what
have
their
the
monthly payment is going to be. So,
And if I could, Mr. Chair, if I could clarify one thing on the 184 loan program. We really don't have a whole lot to do with that program. It's a program that's available to our citizens and to Native Americans that are in our jurisdiction. But most of the time, we're not involved unless there's some kind of MAP contribution to the home, to the purchase of the home. Otherwise, they go to the bank applies for the 184, and the 184 program is actually a pretty stringent program regarding credit and such. And then what we do is we have the ability to come in and try to pick that home up in a foreclosure situation when we receive the notice of it, so.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
And under old business, I think our sponsor, Ms. Watts, is not present, so unless I hear from the body, we'll pass it over.
I can make a motion to vote on it.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. And,
Any discussion?
Codes. This has really affected us over in Adair County because I compare it to Cherry Tree Edition. When you pay off your house, you don't get a deed. You get a certificate of, do you know what it's called? A certificate of, do you know, Mr. Pruitt?
Pardon me? Yeah, it's a certificate of, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, you just get a certificate of deed. It's not a complete deed.
And people down there that's got houses paid off, they'll never be in their name. They will not have a deed to it. And that is why I'm against this.
okay. Any other discussion? Julia? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you, Dick. I'm not clear what the motion is, what we're voting on. I mean, there's nothing in the book. There's no act, there's no resolution, there's no, so I'm not sure what we're doing, if someone can clarify that for me.
I have never seen an actual resolution.
What's it
Have we ever had one?
about?
Shelley, have we ever had a resolution?
Never been back up.
A printed resolution?
We just got them printed today.
Who's the sponsor of this?
Ms. Watts.
Does she have to
Mr.
present?
Chair, I didn't hear what the resolution was, but could I say something
Yes,
about
sir.
this? It's probably a good idea that we table this again, because what's happening here is, and I didn't know this, Marvin Jones filled me in on this, that what had happened to my place, I had restricted into the land and I was going to build a home or mortgage it. And they said, no, you can't do that. But I found out later that you can mortgage restricted property. It takes a little bit longer time because most people won't take it, but it can be done. But if we leave these restrictions on there, say a person wants to leave the restrictions on, well, he should have the option to leave them on there, I think. That way it's not going to go into the tax base or nothing else. So it may be worth the problem to discuss the thing anyway, the way I'm saying it. So
Here, I'd like to speak to the body here a little bit. They've been on a long time, and I've never seen a resolution on it.
I don't think that.
And I think there is a problem here, but I don't know how to resolve it, because I don't think a bank is ever going to lend on a piece of property that's restricted or trust. If I were a banker, I probably would not.
Wouldn't they have?
There is a situation, something needs to be addressed. But I don't know how to do it, and I don't think Ms. Watts knows how to do it either.
Yeah, I remember in Adair County, United built homes years ago, come in and built houses on restricted land.
Really?
This is years back, Chief Byrd probably remembers it. And they didn't pay for it. And United built, lost them all, because it was restricted land.
Sure.
And after that, it left a bad taste in mortgage people's mouths. And like Harley said, you can actually mortgage one, but it takes an act of Congress to get it done.
We've got a motion and a second. I think what I'm gonna do is let this vote go through, and she can bring it back when she gets more positive resolution and information.
Councilor Lake,
Yes, ma'am.
can you state what the motion is that we're voting on? I just heard you making a motion. I never heard what it is we're voting on here.
I think our only options is to withdraw the item from the agenda or to table it because there's nothing to actually vote to approve.
That's what
I'll
I'm
make
thinking.
a motion to table it indefinitely.
Okay.
Second.
I get some discussion.
Yes, sir.
On the, I think we need an attorney's opinion on this, because this would be a good deal if someone could build an Indian home and still keep restricted status on it. Because I know that, like up in Moody, I think there was a family up there that Cherokee Nation went out and worked on their home, done some renovations on their place, and they lost their restriction status just because they went out and just done some remodel on the home. And so now they have to pay taxes on it. It would be good if we could get this through where they could keep the restriction status, but I don't know all the legalities that come with it. And I think we need some kind of a, Todd Hembry or someone to come in with an opinion. Chuck?
He's not in here.
He's not here.
Here's,
Diane.
here, hold on just a second. Diane?
Linda Dawson with the AG's office has provided an initial opinion. There's some process going on with Gary Cooper at the Housing Authority and others that are looking into this. And I think that's why Councilor Watts continues to table it until there's some final opinion,
Okay.
so that there can be a discussion with the council about this.
Gotcha.
Because there's some federal law,
Mhm.
housing laws.
Yeah.
And also, there was a case about 4 years ago about doing foreclosures on lands that are on tribal reservations or whatever. So we're just looking at all those right now.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Jared.
I think we're kind of in limbo here. What we're going to do, I'm going to table this until next month, and that's what it's going to be, and we'll come back. I'd like to see some resolution from legal, and we haven't seen it.
For me?
Not Diane, but our legal, but Todd and some other folks, because here, we can get a loan on a restricted property if a bank will lend it. And if I was a banker, I wouldn't do it, because there may be a problem with the loan sometime. If it can be done and guaranteed by the Cherokee Nation, which is, I think, is where she's trying to get to, then that's one issue. But we're going to have a discussion about that issue from our legal department and housing, Mr. Cooper, and a whole bunch of people, federal and other folks, it sounds like, from what Diane's telling me.
That's my motion, I bring it second.
So I'd like to just hold it over till next month.
I have.
I could call for the question.
The motion is to table it indefinitely.
Indefinitely. Well, I don't know what we're tabling now. We don't have a resolution. That's where I'm coming from.
Are we tabling the discussion?
We're tabling the discussion?
Yeah, because we do not have a resolution.
And Counselor Lay?
Yeah.
I believe that tabling indefinitely essentially kills the item. I would recommend, if Counselor Fishing Hawk would take a friendly amendment from either you or I, that we follow your lead and table for only 1 month, and that the motion be stated that way.
Yes.
Table for only 1 month.
Okay. As I understand it, I've got a legal motion and a second to table indefinitely. Is that correct?
Yes.
Diane, is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Now, we've had some discussion. Do we have any more discussion? Mr. Keener?
Would the sponsor of the motion accept a friendly to put on hold until such time as legal has a proposition for us that we can discuss?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so the motion and second is to table indefinitely. Old business TMP 317. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
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 Four people.
4 opposed. Okay.
May I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
All this means is that she needs to get her ducks in a row when she brings it back and not leave it languishing on our committee agenda for, what, 7, 8, 9 months? I mean, if we're going to have this, she got I know she got a legal opinion that might not have liked what it said, but she got one. And it said pretty well what I thought it was going to say, is you cannot force a lender to participate in an approved mortgage program. The lenders have rights and it's their money. And so you've got to work around that. So if she wants to bring it back, anybody that wants to bring this issue back, they just need to bring us a resolution that tells us what they're trying to do instead of letting it languish on the agenda for, I think that's been going on about 9 months.
Thank you. Going on for new business, 15-022. Tina, would you like to?
Yes, this is a, did you want me to go ahead with?
Yes.
Okay. This is a resolution authorizing Human Services to submit an application for funding to the Oklahoma Office of Juvenile Affairs for youth shelter services and prevention and diversion services, and I will put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
That's the sponsor.
Might have several people. The others are sponsors.
And I think I would too. Who does not want to?
Everybody else.
Yeah.
Everyone but Joe.
Does this need to go to full council tonight?
I think she said yes, it does.
If somebody's non, okay, yes. I would ask also that this go to full council tonight. This is a funding requirement that we try to get on a yearly basis, and it doesn't have any kind of matching dollars. So we want to make sure it goes through if possible.
And any other discussion?
I just want to be sure I understand. It's just a grant that doesn't have to be paid back. It doesn't have any
Right,
obligation
it
from
has
us.
no matching requirements on it, and it's basically at our youth shelter.
Okay, very good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. And 15-024. Harley, you have your, Joe, do you, yeah, go ahead, Joe, if you want to take that.
This is a resolution authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs to revise and update Cherokee Nation's inventory of tribal transportation facilities.
Second, if you're making that in form of motion.
Yes, and like to have this presented tonight at our council meeting.
We need to approve the handout, not the one in the book.
You need it tonight? Okay.
Okay.
The handout, not the one in the book.
And Shelley said we're approving the handout, not the one in the book.
Yeah, it's one I'm reading from.
Okay.
Okay, got a motion and a second.
Motion and second. Any conversation? Everybody want to be added as a sponsor?
Sure.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Any announcements? Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 16th at 2 p.m. All in favor of adjournment? Aye. All opposed? We're adjourned.